of social media. I am coming on today. I want to follow up with you guys. I've been doing mega trends, right? I've been talking about the mega trends shaping this decade. And last time I talked about how the Gen Z, millennials, the Gen X, how they're all like shaping society and their buying power and the future and all of that. So now what we're going to do is kind of shift a little more into number two. And number two is all about value. So we hear this a lot, and even more so now that we've been thrust into the online space, there's a lot about value. So we talk about value in even in healthcare. You know, we have choices that we can make. People want the best value for their money, the value for their choices. So that's the same thing that goes for being in the online space. We're going to talk about value-based branding, marketing, businesses is where it's at and what people are looking for, and see if that's where you kind of fall into this as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I am going to look down quite a bit because I have a lot of stats here on this paper, and I wanted to do this, maybe sound a little bit hokey, but I wanted to do my live from up at the zoo because today is National Zoo Lovers Day, and I love animals, so I was going to try and do it from the zoo, but I couldn't get reception, so I had this all printed out. So I thought I'd come home real quick and share that little fun fact with you. It's also National Empanada Day if you live in the United States. I love empanadas. But if you're with me live, please go ahead and say hello. Let me know where you're coming in from across the world here. And if you're on the replay, please do the same. If we haven't met before, welcome to my page. My name is Julie McNamara. I love to travel. I love being outdoors. But my main purpose here today is I am an online business owner, and I am sharing with people the mega trends happening this decade. And I've followed them for a while, and now I'm into this new decade, right? But I share with people how to start online businesses and how to tap into this incredible knowledge of what's happening with these mega trends. So that's what we're going to talk about here. So first of all, let's recap a little bit about last week. When I talked about Megatrend 1. So as the Gen X and the millennials, they're growing to become more of an economic force, which is what we talked about last time. We're seeing through all these stats that I'm going to share with you, more significant increase in the influence that value is bringing. So brands are bringing more value in different ways, and you're going to see a lot more of that. So Gen X, they have, as far as spending power, this is a recap from last week, they have $2.4 trillion in spending power. They're out there spending some money, right? The Gen X's, and that's people in my age range. And they're also at part of their life where they're making usually the most amount of money, and they're kind of doing well. Even though 2020 happened, they're kind of, set, and they're looking for things. Now the millennials have a $1.4 trillion spending power. This is super important because between the Gen X and the millennials, the buying power online, e-commerce, whether you're buying at a mall, which is all kind of be moving online, right? The power of the spending dollar it's more and more competitive. More and more people want it, and they're providing more value, and we'll get to that here. But huge spending power. And the Gen Z, so those are my kids, the Gen Zers, and they actually have they've grown up in an instant economy, right? But their buying power, it says here, is 140 billion. 140 billion. And I actually heard recently, I was actually on the radio just this week, they talked about how teenagers, about 16 years old is where they started this poll from, but they spend about $2,000 a year. Now that seems like a lot for a 16-year-old, but that's all part of this Gen Z. Their buying power, 140 billion. That's amazing. And that's not just the United States, you guys. All right. So this study, I'm going to read this to you here for a second. It says it's by 5 West Public Relations, and it's their 2020 Consumer Culture Report. And it says it reveals that 83% of consumers aged 18 to 34 say it's important the companies they buy from are aligned with their values. And we'll get on to this later too, as far as bigger brands that that have done their own tests. So how do buyers know when they buy something that it aligns with their values? Well, they obviously research it a little bit, but it's a lot of it's in the marketing and marketing, through your eyes, your ears, what you see online really speaks volumes. So it's based on first impressions. You only have, they say in the online space, you only have 5 seconds or less to make your first impression. So if you're still with me, that's great. But that's what they say. So the shift shows that building and communicating your brand is one of the most important factors for consumers to feel that their money is being well spent and it's providing value. And like I mentioned last week in the Megatrend 1, how a lot of the millennials, and they're trying to keep the buying power of their $1.4 trillion in their local communities. And so you're going to see a lot more of this stuff. Let's see. So let's look at a few examples of what value-based marketing or businesses means. And another survey that's been conducted actually with Google. So of course it's a big brand who has over 92 billion users a month online. Okay, they're huge, huge company, and Facebook has about 25 billion users a month. But they say, of course, celebrating diversity, equity, and inclusion is how it's titled here, is this part of this trend. And that is really true. Do you guys see more of that? Do you see more people wanting to have diversity? You're seeing more talking about the different communities. I don't want to say all their names because you don't want to bring all that topic up, but there's all these different communities of different things out there, and they're talking about diversity and branding. Now, a lot of companies have aligned themselves with this coin terms that they're using to represent their core values when they shop. But a 2019 survey that they conducted in 2020 to review the 2019 survey, it was conducted by it says the Female Quotient in partnership with Google. And they found that 64% said they took an action towards a brand after seeing an advertisement they considered to be diverse or inclusive. They wanted inclusive language, imagery. They want to see, you even see it on TV shows. You're seeing a lot more diversity in conversations. They want to avoid stereotypes, which is good, right? Avoiding that is definitely true. We don't want to do stereotypes. We taught that a lot in Girl Scouts. But one of the things I put down in my notes here as far as diversity and inclusion and stereotypes is I just did a live, I think it was earlier this week, about the owner and founder of IT Cosmetics, who sold to L'Oreal for $1.2 billion. And that's Jamie Kern Lima. And I love her. I am reading her book. It's called Believe It. I should have actually brought it in here to show you. But it is an amazing book of her journey. And I got to tell you, she is spot on in my book, 100% authentic and real when it comes to, she wanted to show no stereotypes, no occlusion. She said people shot her down all the time, and she wanted to include people and let people know there's real women out there with real issues. And oftentimes you see she advertised on QVC her makeup products, and they used models, and models of course have usually flawless skin and their perfect bodies, and she was told that it would never work because she wasn't super skinny and she had rosacea and different things. And so she wanted to show real things, and she changed the industry. It's an amazing book about how she changed the industry and how she was shot down constantly by that. But that's about the language, the inclusive language. And that's where we are in society around the globe. It's all about inclusion, not stereotypes. There are so many different scams out there. People are so wary, and you should be. There definitely are. But you gotta do a little bit of research, right? You gotta research a little bit, and it's just kind of the world we live in now. Let's go ahead and say hello. It looks like we have Tacey is on. Hi, Tacey. Great to see you here. Kids today seem to have more money than we did in our parents. That is for sure. Where are they getting this money from? Is it from the parents giving them money? Is it from jobs? Minimum wage jobs are way more than we used to get paid, right? I got like $3.35 an hour at my first job when I was 14 years old working at a restaurant. Now, some minimum wages across the country in the United States are $7. In some places, are $15 an hour. These kids, they have so much money. They live at home. Also, hey, we also have Marcos on here. Great to see you, Marcos. I'm glad that you made it on today live with me as well. So let's see, let's move on. That was my IT cosmetics thing. Oh, and they gave an example on here. Google talked about an example of a franchise chain. A lot of people have heard of Papa John's Pizza. The pizza has used a rainbow colored pride logo to express support for the LGBTQ community. And they did that alongside providing like new values and providing inclusion, and it's working for them. And the reason it's working for them is because they have done their research and they are connecting more with people now, realizing that people want value, they want authenticity, they want transparency, which is everything I completely 100% agree in. And that's one thing I absolutely love about my online business is we provide that transparency and authenticity for people to evaluate completely. There's nothing held back. And that's really important to people. So I'm really glad that we are in line with what all the industry is showing for this decade as far as mega trends. So the next thing about this whole thing about inclusion and stuff is sustainability. So they've also found that people are looking for things to be sustainable for the environment, right? We're talking about, going green and clean air and plastic pollutions and all the different toxins that are in the world, right? So it says here that consumer habits and environmental concerns are leading franchises, businesses to be more transparent about their supply chains, about their chemicals that they use, because people want toxin-free, chemical-free, easier on the environment. We're seeing the repercussions of that. And I did a big talk on that one time about the water cycle, how we're finding little plastic particles. I have a friend of mine who's a GI doctor, and he said when he does biopsies on people through their colon, he's finding little plastic parts from water bottles. So water bottles are dissolving into the ground, into the water system, even at the source of pure water in the Andes Mountains. They've done this, and it's just this whole interesting cycle. And he says it was really scary, all this microplastic stuff. Well, that's getting into our foods and the food environment and all that stuff too. So it's all cycles. So that's really big right now is this next trend for this decade is going to be all about sustainability. I mean, look at ecotourism. That's one of the big things taking off right now. If you love to travel, I love to travel. Do you guys love to travel? Where do you love to go? But ecotourism is huge right now. People are looking to do these ecotourism trips where everything is just really taking in account the environment, that they're not affecting it. And also 4Ocean, the number 4Ocean. I don't know if you know about them. I love their stuff. I've bought a lot of their things. They've pulled off 14 million pounds of plastics out of the ocean. And because of the ocean cycles, there are some countries that get kind of a brunt of it. It just the way it all swirls around and winds up there, and it's affecting pollution and water and disease and things like that. And they're going out and they are pulling these plastics, and they pulled 14 million pounds out already, and they're turning them into recyclable, reusable things. So I've gotten water bottles from them. There's bracelets. They have actual water bottles, drinking glasses. They have bags, different things. They have bracelets that support different things. It's really fascinating. They're helping redevelop the coral reefs and getting the plastics out of them. And it's a good thing. And by the end of 2021, I just read a thing today. They sent me a thing that their goal is 20 million pounds of plastic. And they talked about Guatemala, how there's like a river of garbage there, and how they've helped Guatemala rebuild their communities and their health because they've gotten rid of all the plastic pollutions. So that got me sidetracked there, but it is really important when it comes to sustainability. People are looking to take it on head on to be more sustainable. Okay. And to finish off here, one last one is responses to current events. It says, so of course, the recent global pandemic showed businesses, both big and small, that they had power not only to react in current events, but also to make an impact. And they talked about how Starbucks and Nike brands did some stuff to promote messaging in their advertisements. But I also talked about small gestures such as Krispy Kreme donuts. If you have that in your part of the world, I don't know. Krispy Kreme donuts was offering a dozen free donuts on Mondays to anyone who works in the medical sector. So again, they gave a small little marketing sample to provide a value and a message to the community. So now healthcare workers or medical people are, thinking Krispy Kreme donut, they're aligned with my value. They appreciate us because in the hospitals, if you ever work in one or been in one, pre-COVID, we loved potlucks and we loved donuts and bagels and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's pretty amazing all the things that we used to eat and stuff that we can't eat anymore. So we're getting healthier, I guess. So it just shows that it just illustrates the power and importance of how brands are being aligned with value. Super, super important. So let's see. I guess that was, yeah. So that was the end of that, talking about Megatrend 2. And leading into Megatrend 3, what I'm going to talk about next week is we're going to talk about basically the consumer trust. It's been slipping all across the world, just not here in the United States. And we've had a lot of things on the news about our I guess, news stuff. But despite the fact that consumers crave value and alignment, they don't always believe what they see at first sight, right? So that's that skepticism, and that's good. It's good to be skeptical. I'm right with you on that. So we're going to talk next week about how, let's see, this, it's from a social Sprout Social, which I guess is a site that collects all kinds of social media data and big data, again, and spits it all out to everybody. And it says that, they're the number one consumer brand for social media when it comes to trust in their statistics, apparently. So they said that failing trust in the ecosystem in 2021 was a big problem, but a trend is worldwide, it says widespread misinformation and a lack of transparency from corporate and public leadership have caused consumers to lose trust like never before. We haven't seen this at all in the history of our world, as much trust. Well, maybe Vietnam, the war, if you want to go back to looking at government trust. But consumer trust is really, really low right now. And you're seeing a lot of hackers and different things making things look really real, right? Have you ever had those phishing emails and stuff that look so real? So in spite of all of this, people are looking at trustworthy sources. They're declaring governments and media outlets be more transparent. And I am completely on board with that. I agree. That's one thing, like I said, I love about our online business platform that we use and associate with our systems. And we are completely transparent. We have people that have actually paid their own money and had their own lawyers and accountants check out, third-party vetting to make sure that we are transparent and we do what we say we do. That's why we're number one. We're the largest digital online business community in the world, and there's a reason for it, because we provide value, we provide transparency, and it's a great community of people we get to meet all over the world. So that is today's talk. I kept it right around 20 minutes. So that's great. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to pop them in here. And if you missed our webinar tonight, you really missed out. So good. I love our global webinars. And they're literally broadcast globally all over the world at 5 o'clock on Pacific time. It was like 1 o'clock in the United Kingdom and in the Philippines, and I mean all over the place. They're all different times, and you can catch replays, but we're live every Tuesday and Thursday. But next week, I'm going to share more about this Megatrend 3 about consumer trust. Remember, there's 8 of them that we're going to go through that I've been following. There's 12 total. If you do research on it, you'll see that they're talking about 12 megatrends in this decade. Some of them are really fascinating. I've merged them down to 8 because some of them kind of go together. And if you really look at it, they're really dialed into people that really follow the statistics stuff. I mean, really into all the analytical numbers. There's 5 core value mega trends that are happening this decade. It's really exciting. I'm so excited to be involved in the online space in the way that I am and the way that I help people. So I'm hoping that I can provide value to you, because I know there are other people out there that are skeptical but are looking for something and they don't know where to start or what to do. So I help them with that, to get started. This is what you can do. This is what we can offer. And I gotta tell you, it was the best decision I've made, because 2020, I didn't skip a beat. It was great. So everybody have a fantastic night, a great weekend. I don't know if I'll be live again before the end of the weekend. I have a conference I have to do this weekend, so I will probably not be on live, but we will see you guys next week. And again, if you have any questions, just pop them in. We'll see you next time. Bye.